Today, we are going to be talking about limiting beliefs and how those limiting beliefs that keep popping up throughout our lives are possibly here to help us and not hold us back. I wrote a blog post on my Substack today that was talking all about my lack mentality and how this lack mentality has been something I've been dealing with ever since my late teens. I've worked through so many limiting beliefs in my life. I thought I was unlovable for so long. Now I'm happily married and have a baby on the way. I was able to get rid of that. I thought I wasn't good enough. I was able to work through that. But for me personally, lack mentality is something that's been popping up throughout my entire adult life. And it feels like no matter what, I can't fully seem to shake it. And yesterday was one of those days where I woke up, I was feeling exhausted because I haven't been sleeping because I'm pregnant. And it was like every single thought that I had was in lack, to the point where it was extremely frustrating and borderline debilitating. So I started to unpack it and I started to think, okay, well, I've had this lack mentality for a very long time, and it's been something I've been very well aware of that I've been trying to work through. I've never been as financially stable as I am now, but for some reason, this keeps popping up. And it's easy when we have limiting beliefs continue to pop up. It's easy to think, these are holding me back. If I could just get rid of this, then I could have the life of my dreams. Well, what if we flipped it? What if we flipped it to where these limiting beliefs that continue to pop up are here to help us and here to help us draw closer to our higher selves? When you're dealing with a limiting belief, it really is just a huge anxiety bubble. It's anxiety. And I never really realized it was anxiety in my early 20s, late teens when it started popping up. But now as an adult in my 30s, I'm 34, I realize it is just fully anxiety. In the women's group I meet with every week, we are currently reading the book Consider the Lilies, which is all about how to deal with anxiety by turning to God. Now, if you don't believe in God, that's totally fine. But one of the things that the author said in chapter 4, I believe, was that our anxiety is an invitation to draw closer to God. Now, if you don't believe in God, you could replace God with a higher self, a higher calling, a higher purpose, just some sort of higher power that's greater than you. And it got me thinking, what if my lack mentality, what if the reason that my lack mentality is still here annoying the crap out of me because it's an invitation for me to draw closer to God, to draw closer to my higher self? What if there's a bit of wisdom left in this lack mentality that I still need to learn? Because when I unpack it, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. I'm married. I'm financially stable with my husband. I own a house. I'm in a better financial place than I've ever been. I mean, when my lack mentality started, I was 18 and I just moved to Los Angeles and was very, very, very poor and was a struggling actress. So it made sense then, but it doesn't make sense now. But sometimes our limiting beliefs, they don't make sense at all, which is what's so frustrating about them. Because when they don't make sense and they no longer fit the life that we're leading now, it makes it harder to unpack them and actually get to the root of them, because this thought process doesn't match our reality. Like, if you would look at the life I live now, you would say, she doesn't have a limiting belief. What? She has everything she needs, which makes it even more frustrating to get over. But if anxiety and limiting beliefs are there to teach us something and are there to be an invitation to have us draw closer to God or closer to our higher selves, what am I being asked to learn right now? What are you being asked to learn right now? What is your limiting belief? Is it around money? Is it around getting older? Is it around success? Is it around not being loved? You know, a lot of really common limiting beliefs are unlovable, unlikable, just any thought process that really holds you back from showing up in the world as your full authentic self. And for me, my limiting belief was triggered yesterday just by canceling a Pilates class last minute and having to pay a $12 late fee. I can afford the $12 late fee. I was tired. I did not sleep the night prior because I'm pregnant. It was a safety hazard to have me on a reformer, operating a reformer with the potential of dozing off. That's a safety hazard. So I did the right thing, but still I could not get over beating myself up for having to pay this $12 late fee. And here's the lack mentality. This is when it comes up. So why was it creeping up now? Why was this lack mentality presenting itself to me in this moment? Well, I do believe, and bear with me, I know we're kind of all over the place, but we're getting somewhere. So I do believe that limiting beliefs tend to pop up more often when we're in times of transition. I am currently in a huge time of transition. I just moved across the country. I got married just a year ago. We bought our first house. Like my whole life has changed. I left Los Angeles where I lived for 13 years and now I live in the South. It's a very, very different place. I also struggle with how I fit in here. I have amazing friends, but the person I showed up in the world in LA, sometimes I feel like I can't show up as that person here. And I'm also pregnant. I just entered my 3rd trimester and I'm about to become a mother. So that is a huge transition. This lack mentality hasn't shown up this strong in a very, very, very long time. So why is it showing up now? Well, I'm in a huge time of transition. I'm sorting through my head all the ways that I'm going to show up as a mother, what I'm going to impart to my kids, how I'm going to show up as a wife once I have a child, how I'm going to show up in the world once I have a child. And it's something that you don't really understand until you're in it, when you're in the process of becoming a mother and growing a child. I never thought it would bring up this much stuff. But what if the invitation is for me to deal with this stuff now before I have a kid? I don't know if it's unrealistic to think that my lack mentality isn't going to come up when I have a kid, but I do know for sure I don't want to pass it along to him. I want to show my kid that I feel safe, that he is safe, that we are abundant, that we have everything we need, and that there's no need to worry. I don't want to pass this along to my kid. So maybe it's popping up so I can become more aware of it. Not to expect it to completely disappear, but to see it, honor it, and address it, and unpack whatever emotion is underneath the lack mentality, so that whenever this pops up, when I do have a child, I'm able to better deal with it, and I'm able to not let it affect him. So perhaps this lack mentality is showing up so strongly in this moment so that I can work through it to a point where I don't have to let it completely take over my mind and my entire day and ruin my entire day and affect the other people I love around me. I'm a big fan of unpacking limiting beliefs so that we can get to the root of the emotion that's really underneath. And for me, when I look at my lack mentality, it's this deep-rooted fear of being alone and being destitute and not having enough and not being able to thrive. And what that feels like, feeling in my body, is that I'm not safe. So if I get to the root of the lack mentality and it's my body physically telling me I'm not safe, how can I regulate my nervous system? How can I make myself feel like I am safe? Well, sometimes it's grounding myself. Sometimes it's taking a bath, meditating, going for a nature walk. Sometimes it's not thinking about money at all. Sometimes it's going through all of my bank accounts and counting all my finances, every single penny. Sometimes that reassures me. But doing whatever I need to do to really make myself feel safe. When I was unpacking my limiting belief of being unlovable, because I dealt with that for a very long time, I was single all of my 20s, and it wasn't until I was 30 when I met my husband, but I remember I was working through that. I was in therapy. I was starting to date better and better and better. And then I remember one day, I was like 6 months into my 30s. I was walking around the Silver Lake Reservoir and I had this pause and I thought, oh my God, I've been relating to myself differently the past month or two. Like I really, really do love myself. I finally found this peace within myself to where I wanted the best for myself and I knew I deserved love. And I really just acknowledged that I'd kind of like unpacked my limiting belief and I'd kind of like worked through it. And it's not a surprise that only 2 weeks later I met my husband and now I'm married and have a baby on the way. So it is possible to work through your limiting beliefs. There's so many different modalities that you can do. You can go to therapy, talk therapy, you can do EMDR, subconscious reprogramming, or every time your limiting belief pops up in your life, you pause, unpack it, acknowledge that it's a lie, but also get curious and ask what the gift is in it. For me yesterday, the gift of my lack mentality coming up was to pause and check myself and ask, what kind of mother do I want to be? Do I want to be the kind of mother that passes on a lack mentality to my son? No. I want to be the type of mother that is so full of abundance, imparts the wisdom onto my child that this is an abundant universe and that he can accomplish anything that he wants to make him feel taken care of. And it's important for me to pause before I have my child to get clear on that, because what would happen when my lack mentality came up and I already had my kid and I hadn't strengthened my nervous system enough to be able to check myself and be like, okay, like we've got this, we're okay. I personally don't think healing is a straight line and linear. I think it's cyclical. I think Healing takes time. And I think that working through our limiting beliefs is a process. And when we're so strict and so hard on ourselves, thinking like, why haven't we overcome this limiting belief yet? All it does is hold us back even more. You know, you're not going to make progress with your limiting beliefs if you're continuously beating yourself up for not being over them. Also, what if my lack mentality is just a protector that doesn't know it can rest yet? This lack mentality protected me at a certain point in my life. It kept me from going broke. It kept me on top of my finances. It kept me safe to a certain extent. It served its purpose at that time in my life. But now in my life, it's only gonna hold me back. So recognizing that it's done its job, it's succeeded, it's kept me safe at certain times in my life, I can now let go of it. And maybe this fear popping up again isn't proof that I haven't healed. Maybe it's proof that I care. I care about taking care of myself. I care about taking care of my family. And that's a beautiful thing and something to be acknowledged. If you feel like you're unlovable, what if that's proof that you care about people, you care about giving all the love that you have inside of you. And all it is just the shadow side of all the love that you have inside of you. So maybe when these limiting beliefs return, they are not setbacks. Perhaps they are just checkpoints on our journey, asking us to trust again. And perhaps this limiting belief popping up for me yesterday isn't to show me that I'm still stuck in lack. Perhaps it's here to show me how far I've come. I personally have come so far on my limiting belief journey and working through all those. I used to think I was unlovable. I used to think that I wasn't good enough. I used to think that I was gonna be destitute. And I know I'm not gonna be destitute, but doesn't mean I still don't worry sometimes about money and how we're gonna take care of our family. And, you know, the feelings of like, what if it runs out? So this week, I want us all to take a pause and choose one limiting belief that keeps popping up for us over time. And I want us to name the limiting belief, acknowledge it, and unpack it. Ask yourself, why does this keep showing up for me? What is at the root of this? How do I feel physically in my body when this is coming up? And what is that sensation trying to tell me? How can I surrender this limiting belief to God or to my higher power, higher self, whatever you want to call it? How can I surrender it? And what do I want to be filled with in that place? For me, I surrender the limiting belief and I say, I want to be filled with abundance instead. I want a sign from God that I want to have abundance pop up into my life. I want peace to fill that hole. I want peace and trust in God and myself to replace the hole of the lack mentality. Limiting beliefs are really about control. When we are obsessing over this limiting belief, it gives us the feeling of having control, but it's a false feeling. It's not real. Instead, it's obsession and a setback. But when we can surrender the limiting belief, surrender it to God, your higher self, and say, I give it to you. I recognize that I'm powerless over this limiting belief, and fill me with the opposite. Fill me with peace. Then we are able to move throughout our day in a more conscious and productive way. That is it for the day. Thank y'all so much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Reid. Go ahead and share this video with someone who may be struggling with a lack mentality or limiting belief of their own. Thank y'all so much for joining me, and I'll see y'all next time.